6:34, good morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. Can I just say, loving that jacket.
Oh, thank you.
I'm loving an upward collar.
I like an upward collar. Don't know why, it makes your neck look long, I think, that's why.
It's very nice. It reminds me of, what's her face, who was in 9 to 5, who's still going strong. She always wears an upward collar.
Melanie Griffith.
No,
not Melanie Griffith. She's with the lips.
No,
you mean Bette Midler?
No, not Bette Midler. It'll come to me. She's in...
Lily Tomlin, not Lily Tomlin.
No, the one who did the latest show with Lily Tomlin.
Grace and Frankie.
Yeah, Grace and
You mean Barbara... No, you mean Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda.
Oh, yes, she does. She always wears them.
She always wears those collars, and she looks fabulous, doesn't she?
Oh, I'll have to invest in a few more then.
Yeah, it's nice material as well. There you go. Just point out, if you're on the radio this morning, you better get on the app and check out Anne's jacket.
Honestly.
It looks lovely.
Good.
Anyway, should we have a look through the papers?
Yes. So, let's have a look at the Mail, which is focusing on the surge of Strep A. Really worrying. It gives us also a first look at Matt Hancock's pandemic diaries.
The Telegraph focuses on the alert from health chiefs after 6 children die from Strep A.
And The Guardian draws attention to the cost of living crisis and the 500,000 British homes missing out on any help for their energy bills.
The Times has the nurses' strike.
And The Express warns that Prince Harry is risking the point of no return with the release of his Netflix documentary. I think a lot of people think we're already there, yeah.
And The Sun has an exclusive with Tyson Fury. He's taking on Derek Chisora tonight. He's going to knock him out, says Tyson.
And finally, The Star addresses this crisis. It's about pigs in blankets. It's set to ruin Christmas, according to The Star. Why
that in a minute.
Worry about your chipolatas, I say, honestly. There are bigger things to worry about this Christmas.
Well, literally. Turkeys. Let's go inside the papers now with political editor of the HuffPost UK, Kevin Schofield, and journalist Emma Wolfe. Good to see you both this morning. Emma, let's kick off with the Telegraph and Strep A, should we?
Yeah, this is across quite a few papers this morning. Up to 6 children have died from Strep A in the past month. Experts are saying that probably it could be something to do with lockdown, that, there's reduced immunity to these kind of diseases, that the bacteria are spreading quite fast amongst schools, and it's really, really concerning, obviously, for parents. Not only Strep A, but also scarlet fever. These rates are 5 times higher than pre-COVID pandemic levels.
Yes, and previously they've never been thought of as being that terribly serious because we can treat them with penicillin. Yeah. But it's the fact that doctors haven't seen these.
They haven't seen these rates of them.
No.
Exactly. I mean, in the past week, we had 851 cases of scarlet fever, and that's, really unheard of in this country in 2022.
It's like going back 50 years, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's this sense that youngsters have been left without immunity. And if you've got babies or young children, I mean, I had a baby in lockdown, and there's this kind of uncertainty about whether they were isolated. They were so isolated and not surrounded by other babies and other children that they were sort of protected from all that. And now, starting nursery, they're just being overwhelmed with the germs and the bacteria that normally you would build up a natural immunity to. And again, as you say, Anne, there's a worry that doctors are not picking these up. If you treat them quickly with the right antibiotics, according to the Telegraph and the Times, then you can get a handle on them.
And of course, also, you're dealing with doctors who are really opposed to giving out penicillin and other antibiotics, aren't they? They've been schooled in this. Don't give out antibiotics where they're not needed.
If your child has a flu or a cold or any of these symptoms,
and I think the little girl who's currently fighting for her life at the moment in hospital was initially the parents took her to the doctor, and they said it doesn't look as though it's anything to worry about. Well, in the olden days, they'd have given them antibiotics.
Of course, but
amoxicillin. Do you remember amoxicillin?
Amoxicillin, all of that. Yeah, I mean, but they work. I mean,
they worked. They were brilliant.
Well, they did work.
They did. Okay, yeah. But the other thing is, I think, is that the struggle to try and get, the health service is under so much pressure right now. The struggle to try and get my 2-year-old seen by the GP is almost, 10 days, 2 weeks later.
I'm surprised with a little.
Yeah, I'm surprised with a baby or a young child that one should have to fight for that. But I think there's so much pressure on primary care. People are then, we've got these strikes coming up, which we'll talk about later. NHS 1 111, A&E, all of that. It's just sort of building and building.
In fact, I am really horrified by that.
I am.
Having campaigned about cot death for so long, one of the first rules we ever said is demand to see your GP if you're worried in any way about sniffles or anything.
About a child. And
it used to get you straight into the GP.
Exactly, and I may be old, but I remember when I was a child, you would get a home visit. Your GP, maybe they would come at the end, and I'm not demanding that now, but it was totally normal. There were like lots of kids in our family. It was totally normal for the family GP to drive by the house at the end of the day if there was a problem.
Do you know, I am
visit,
absolutely horrified to hear you say that. As the mother of what, a 2-year-old?
2-year-old, yeah.
That you have to struggle if you've got a problem with your child.
Yeah.
That is appalling.
And I was told to go to the pharmacist, who said that child needs to be on antibiotics immediately.
I am horrified by that.
Awful, isn't it? Definitely something. Well, let's go from that to the former Health Secretary himself.
Yes, indeed.
Matt Hancock in the Mail, Kevin.
Yeah, so I feel like we've got a lot of Matt Hancock at the moment. He's only just come off I'm a Celebrity, and now he's got his book out, and he's given an interview to the Mail, which is serialising his book. Now, having a bit of experience of these types of things in papers, when they serialise a book, they normally begin with the best story from a big splash.
Yeah.
And there isn't really one, which suggests to me that it's quite a dull book. So in the front it says, jaw-dropping pandemic diaries. So you open it up and there's nothing particularly jaw-dropping. There's nothing in it that we didn't already know. We know that Chris Whitty, for instance, warned that lots and lots of people could die right at the very beginning of the pandemic. And it just reads like Matt Hancock's attempt to basically not absolve himself from blame, but basically get his message across. Understandably, it's his book, but it's more or less him basically saying, I did everything I could, I didn't really make any mistakes, and any mistakes that were made were other people's. And yeah, I'm not really sure it shifts the dial all that much. The interview is reasonably interesting. Unsurprisingly, they've gone on the fact that obviously the scandal which led to his resignation and breaking the lockdown rules with the woman who he was having an affair with. But then I think, you know, I wonder what his ex-wife and his kids must think reading this stuff. You know, him trying to justify falling in love. It was an affaire de coeur, as he describes it. But, you know, which must really...
Oh yeah, but she'll be delighted.
Oh, well, exactly. And his kids as well, you know, you feel sorry for them. So, yeah, I think hopefully after this is out the way, maybe a period of silence from Matt Hancock would be quite nice, I think.
Except the paycheck will probably be paying for the
Well,
once all this is all over, it's got SAS I'm a Celebrity or whatever
right,
it is, which he filmed before getting out of here.
Paid 45 grand for that.
Was he?
It was put in the register of so we don't know yet. We'll find out soon enough what he's been paid for.
Is he
I'm a
actually
Celebrity.
divorced yet? He's not, is he? He's still
I don't
married.
think so. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, there's reportedly £400,000
Yeah.
for I'm a Celebrity. I mean, wow.
Plus the book deal, plus all the other...
Deal,
It does
serialisation.
feel very tasteless. Whatever you think about whether or not he's culpable, no one wanted people to die.
No.
You know, we're not saying that he wanted people to die or he was willfully negligent. But it feels tasteless, doesn't it? Sorry, I said tasteful. It feels tasteless, this orchestrated media campaign. We know that Gina, apparently the partner, contacted media organisations as he was going into the jungle. It does feel extremely, you know, like an onslaught on the media. He's really raking it in at the moment.
But there's actually
For a
a story...
serving MP, this does not feel right.
No, I completely agree, but there's a story, I think it's in The Guardian, where apparently he's incredibly popular on the Conservative Association circuit, even though he's lost the whip, so he's officially not a
He's
Conservative
probably
MP.
a good speaker now. He's got a lot to talk about. Yes.
Yeah, they're desperate. They're desperate to get him in.
You would book him. I'd book him as a speaker. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting when he was standing for PM back in whenever that was.
Yeah.
And interviewed him then, and he was just so dull it was untrue. And he came into his own, I think, a little bit. Well, he was just incredibly dull. He just thought, if you think you're going to get this job, you're on another planet.
Yeah.
And of course, he eventually pulled out,
But now he'd be, you know, we'd have him on.
Yeah, but would you buy the book? I mean, as Kevin says, if this is the juiciest we get, would you buy it? It's not going to be in my Christmas.
I'm not sure many people will.
He has made himself more interesting. You can't knock it, can you? Really?
Oh yeah, and he was good on I'm a Celebrity.
And all I'm
for what
thinking
it
is, if he's still married, then all of these fees that he's getting from these various programmes and book deals and everything, you know, will be part of the divorce settlement.
Oh yeah, well, she might not mind that then.
No.
Can we have a look at the cost of living crisis? Talking of money, 500,000 homes are not getting getting the energy bill help that they should.
Yeah, this is on the front of The Guardian. So around 500,000 homes left without that government help. Remember the government support scheme that Rishi Sunak announced back in February. Around 1.3 million vouchers for prepayment meters have been either lost, delayed, or simply not claimed. And obviously prepayment are those households who are the poorest. They are the least able to afford it.
And paying the most per unit for their energy.
Paying the most. The rest of us get our direct debit £400 payment automatically. But these vouchers do need to be claimed or sent out or whatever. They have been delayed. And yeah, this is a real worry for those people who are struggling with help. The weather's getting really cold at the moment. And so this is, grim news for a grim winter and Christmas coming up.
It is. It's just, I know it's inevitable in that it's the way that if you're on a meter, then obviously they can't just give you the money in the same way. I get that. But as you say, it's the most vulnerable. It's those most
who are literally
who are just not
putting money on their meter, and it shouldn't be impossible actually in this day and age to work out who is on prepayment and get those vouchers to them. Yeah, there is a problem. Clearly, they need to be claimed. They need to be sent to the right place. All of this, and people are actually suffering from this. Around £80 million has been unclaimed still, and that is money that is
waiting there
earmarked.
Real people, absolutely. Meanwhile, of course, we're all worried about our chipolatas this Christmas. Evan.
Yeah, obviously have to clarify exactly what you're talking about there. We are literally talking about chipolata sausages and pigs in blankets specifically. Now, Christmas is, as we know, just round the corner, and we're all having a pretty miserable time with the cost of living crisis, energy prices, etc., etc. So people are looking forward to Christmas as an opportunity to basically have a little bit of respite. But the story here in the Star basically showing how much, because of inflation, how much the cost of the ingredients of Christmas dinner have soared. In particular, your chipolatas for your pigs and blankets, they've gone up by 42.7%. On last year. Well, it doesn't say, but I mean, it's part of the, inflation
You
that's going on.
ask any food price inflation, they'll say it's to do with energy price and the war in Ukraine. I mean, there are so many things that are not linked.
Well, I thought they'd be cheap.
Yeah.
Not that I ever bought.
No, and weren't they made months ago anyway, frozen and...
But they are the roast potatoes, 33% more.
That is important.
Frozen turkey, so there was a story yesterday, people are now, rather than buying fresh turkeys, they're buying frozen turkeys because they're cheaper. But even they are 21% more expensive than they were this time last year. Gravy's up 16%, stuffing 11%. So basically all the kind of staple ingredients for your
So our
Christmas
Christmas
dinner.
lunch is going to cost an awful lot more.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do you ever get the feeling the supermarkets are just taking the mickey sometimes? I mean, everything has gone through the roof, and it cannot all be due to...
I mean, stuffing. Why would
Supply.
supply gone up 21%?
I guess it's just the ingredients, isn't it?
Not well, I suppose wheat and a lot of grain in it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is the Ukraine issue.
Yeah, exactly. So
You were looking at me blankly then, Kevin.
Well, what? I've never made a
stuffing.
I've never made stuffing in my life.
You never bought a tub of Paxo?
I've bought it. I mean, I haven't
you made the
inspected the
stuffing.
ingredients or made it.
Yeah.
But
no, I do like the Paxo though. No, I know how you make it, but I just don't know what's in it.
Mrs. Schofield, I bet you don't give her any help, do you, on Christmas dinner?
Does anyone make their own stuffing anymore? I mean, I know you make it with the stuff and the
traditionally it was made with sausage meat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was always made out of the juices and
inside
bits and
the turkey.
pieces, and then any leftover
onion,
vegetables,
maybe some chestnut.
Yeah.
See, I do know a little bit about it.
Yeah, there you go. Mind you, it could be worse. Look at this. Centre spread in the Mail on Sunday.
Susan Holder.
And Noddy, she gets woken up every Christmas by him yelling, "It's Christmas!"
But of course.
There you go.
Ka-ching.
Getting a lot of publicity, Noddy, this Christmas.
Yeah.
Are you, Nod? Loads of PR this Christmas.
Come on the programme.
I spoke when she was on here before. I spoke to her. I was on with her, and we were talking about it. And she says that you can't really go into supermarkets in around Christmas because they're playing.
Yeah, they're always
song
playing it, aren't they?
Which obviously is making them money, which is nice. But it's like it must terrorise him. You know, he walks in, it's like, oh no.
Oh, my heart bleeds for him. Oh, my heart bleeds. Ka-ching, every time he hears it.
Roll it in.
That's what's paying for their Christmas dinner.
Yeah, quite right too. Lovely. Thank you both very much indeed, Kevin, Emma. Appreciate it. See you a little bit later on, actually.
So.